Hello everyone, from Tony the Scout Ghost. As I promised you last week, I want to offer to you a tutorial about how to do a pass-through AR app for the Oculus Quest 2. In these days, I've experimented a lot with pass-through AR. I made some experiments about audio reactive experiences. We've launched our game HitMotion Reloaded with pass-through MR with the environment that reacts to what you do in the game. You can download it on SideQuest following the link that is in the description of this video. And now I want to show to you how you can create these experiences as well. And it is incredibly easy. So follow me to create the best possible application in the world. It is a cube in Pass-through AR. Okay, so now I'm in the Unity Hub and let's create a new project. I usually stick still to Unity 2019, probably next year will change. Let's call it the Unity Cube MR. Now that I'm a big fan of Unity Cube, download it from AppLab, give it 5-star score, and let's make it amazing. So I published this app on AppLab. Who doesn't know it? It is just a cube, and it got more than 3,000 downloads. So let's keep this funny thing going. Download it, play it, give it 5 stars. It will be fine. So now we'll let Unity do its stuff, and we'll find ourselves inside the project. Okay, so Unity is open. And the first thing that we have to do is to enable XR. So file, as you want. So let's say instead edit, project settings, player, no, XR plugin management. So edit project settings, XR plugin management, and install XR plugin management. It's always better to install it before doing all the rest later on. So now we're basically configuring the project so that it works with XR headsets. So let's activate Oculus. You can do it only in Android. This is important to make some kind of Quest content. Of course, if you want to try your content also in the editor, you have to specify Oculus also on PC. So if in doubt, select Oculus everywhere. So now we are done here. We implemented XR. So now go to File, Build Settings, and let's switch to Android because now we just want to make a content for Quest. So switch platform, it should be very fast because in the project there is almost nothing. And in fact, it is already converted like in 1 minute. And after this, we are going to close this window. We are now on Android. You can see it on the top bar of the editor. Let's go to the Unity Access Store and install the Oculus plugin. This is important, especially if you want also to get some samples for the pass-through. So I will show you how to install also the samples, because with the samples you can learn better how to use it. So look for Oculus and look for the Oculus integration, the Oculus utilities. So it's here. It's the first one that you find. It's called Oculus integration. Be sure that you have the version that is at least 31. This kind that I found here is 32.0, so it's okay. So import. I've already downloaded it. If it is your first time, it will be download and then import. Now let's leave Unity to uncompress all the package. Okay, so now the package has been uncompressed. Unity asks us what to import. Actually, it depends on what you do with your application, but just to make the demo, just to use pass-through, you don't have to import the whole package. So let me just, compress, the visualization of the folder. So the only one that you need to use the pass-through is VR. So I will keep the Oculus project config, that is, lets you specify some project configuration for the Oculus platform, and the VR folder that contains the basic building blocks to create your VR experiences with Oculus. So these are the only two ones that are necessary. But if you want, you can also add the sample framework, and you decide what you want to import, of course, because in the usage subdirectory, there is the pass-through I will show you in a moment. The problem is that it expands all the directories. It's very difficult to read everything like this. So, locomotion, no, OVR overlay, no, pass-through. So, you can also import this directory so that you have all the samples that you can use to implement the pass-through. So you can try different scenes already developed by Oculus. So if you want a sample framework directory, you can import this one under usage pass-through. And also this pass-through C and pass-through plus unit if you want. But it's not necessary. If you want, you can also import all the sample frameworks to have also samples about hand striking, locomotion, blah, blah, if you want to combine different things together. But for now, let's take what is barely necessary for the pass-through. So let's hit import and let Oculus do its magic. Okay, so after importing, Oculus asks you have to update all the various workings of the OVR plugin inside Unity. You have to answer yes to whatever and restart to whatever. So yes, update, okay. Sometimes ask, okay, restart, yes, restart. And do whatever it asks. This is necessary, otherwise some of these features not working. Basically, it sets everything up for Unity to work with the latest version of the Quest and the OVR plugin and blah, blah, blah. So now we are inside our project, we have an empty scene, and look that we have the Oculus folder and the sample framework usage pass-through. Since you have a series of sample scenes with the pass-through. So if you want to begin by trying some of their scenes, you can do that and learn how there are different things that you can do with the pass-through, like activating only in a certain region, like highlighting its edges, or moving objects on it, blah, blah, blah. I can learn it through the samples and through the documentation on the Oculus website. I will link the documentation to you in the description of the video because it's pretty interesting as well. So, what I'm going to do now instead is creating a new scene with the pass-through, and it's pretty easy to do. So, let's remove the main camera for this sample scene. And let's add a prefab from Oculus. So Oculus VR prefabs OVR camera rig. So let's put it here this way. Once we've added the VR camera rig, let's evaluate what to do. So there is a VR manager, and usually you have to specify eye level as floor level so that when you run the application, your head goes at your ear height. But in this kind of application with just a floating cube, eye level is okay. Eye level basically means leave the camera where I left it in the scene. So in this case, in the origin. In case you select floor level, instead it moves the camera up for your real height. So it's better if you want to create an interactive application that there is a floor, etc., etc. For now, there's no floor in this application, so I will keep eye level. All the other settings are more or less okay. We have to use only controller, okay. And activation mode automatic. In this case, we don't care about it. What is important is that you activate the pass-through, of course. But to activate the pass-through here, you see that it's great. You have to activate it here. Experimental features enabled, yes. Pass-through capability enabled, yes. And then this becomes white. Inside pass-through, enable pass-through, yes. This is fundamental, otherwise you don't have any kind of pass-through vision in your application. So now we have enabled the application to use the pass-through, but it is not enough to see the pass-through. To see the pass-through, you can use a script. You can put wherever in the scene that is called, you look for pass-through, and it's called OVR pass-through layer. Activate it. And basically it offers various options to see the pass-through in your application. You can see in the documentation what all these options mean. I will try to give you anyway a basic overview. This is how the system should show you the text of the pass-through overlaid on what kind of mesh. If you leave it reconstructed, everything will be taken care about from the operating system. So I leave it this way. Most of the cases it is okay. Compositing placement, overlay or underlay. Do you want the pass-through to be on top of everything or under everything? I want it to be under everything. So underlay is the best choice because it means that I will have my virtual elements and the pass-through behind it. Composition depth is used in case you have different layers. Style, opacity 1, I don't want the pass-through to be transparent. And to be something a bit different just in this demo, let's see that I want also to highlight the edges of the pass-through. So activate edge rendering and select an edge color. So I want the edges to be like casual, I like this kind of colors. Okay, so this way I should be able to see the pass-through where all the edges of the scene are highlighted as azure. Then there's the color map that lets you map the black and white of the pass-through because the Quest has black and white pass-through with colors of your choice. So you can say, okay, I want the whites to be black, or the whites to be green, red, then the black to be blue, blah, blah, blah. You can select here controls to select all these parameters to control the colors of the pass-through. For now, I just want it to be black and white, so it's okay this way. I'll leave it as none. So now I activated the pass-through, and it's interesting to see that what it happens is at the runtime, this creates a helper object with the OVR overlay script that shows you the texture of the environment. I tell you this because I want to warn you that you can't do anything with the pass-through. You can't access the images in any way. You can't even have a secondary camera that takes a picture of what is the pass-through in the scene, because the pass-through is added by the operating system when you run the application, because it is an OVR overlay completely controlled by the operating system. So you have no way to take a screenshot of the pass-through, you have no way to access the pass-through pixels, the pass-through images, whatever. You can just say to the system, I want to see the pass-through there, and the system at runtime will add it, but you inside Unity have no access to it at this moment. So you can just show it. I tried it for hours, I investigated everything, and there's no way to access the pass-through layer. So once you've done this operation, you have the pass-through layer. Underline your virtual elements. But it is not enough. So the first thing that I suggest you to do, because I have some problems with skyboxes, I'm going to the window, rendering, lighting settings, and remove the skybox. I noticed that if there is a skybox, sometimes the skybox is on top of the pass-through. Probably playing around with the material of the skybox, of the render cube, blah blah blah. You should be able to keep the skybox as here while seeing the pass-through. But anyway, you don't need the skybox if you see the pass-through. So let's remove the skybox for now. This will mean that for your application you should have to adjust the lighting, because maybe you have the skybox defining the lighting in your app, but it's okay. Now we're just doing a sample. We have a real-time light, and let's keep it this way. And it is not enough. I'm sorry to say that. So we have to set some settings to make pass-through to work, because now we have configured everything, but if we will run this application, nothing will work. So let's continue doing settings by, I suggest you to use the OVR lint tool. So let's use this way. So from Oculus Tools, OVR Performance Lint tool. And let's go to Quest issues. You see that it's easy to use because it provides some easy fixes. So this way you don't have to go to the settings and configure it by hand, but you can also do it by hand, of course. So the first thing that you have to do is activate ILC++. I can fix it to activate it, but I don't know if that's done it. We'll check it later. So I'll also show you how to set it by hand without using the lint tool. So let's set the correct Android SDK level, and let's set the target architecture to ARM64. If we don't see these two settings, especially the scripted backend to IL2 CPP and the target architecture to x64, it is not going to work. So let me show you as promised. So in the project settings, I'm talking about player, and the exact tab are this one, ILCGPP in the scripting backend in the configuration here, and ARM64 as target architecture. But it's not enough. We have to set the color space as linear. This has been reported by Dilmar Vallecillos. I thank him a lot because he helped me in understanding all these flags. I will leave you the link to his channel, the description of this video, because he makes amazing tutorials and it's good that you see them as well. And so set this color space to linear and wait for Oculus to re-import all the resources. Okay, so basically we have made this linear thing. It took a little of time, it's a very big nuisance, and it's okay. So let's close the project settings, and you may think that we have done, but that's not the case. You have to go to Oculus, Tools, OpenXR, switch to OVR plugin with OpenXR backend. And you may ask me, Tony, why should I do this? And the answer is that Oculus has announced that it has removed, basically it has left the legacy backend, the native Oculus backend in legacy mode, in just maintenance mode, but no more features will be added with the legacy backend. Now they only support OpenXR backend, and all the new features will be added to OpenXR backend. And that's a good news because it means more compatibility with all the applications. You know that OpenXR will let us developers build once and deploy everywhere. So it's a good news, but it's a bit of a nuisance for us because we have to use OpenXR. It's a pretty new backend. There is also some features that are still problematic inside, but for most of things it works well. So switch OpenVR plugin with the OpenXR backend, click on it, and okay. And now you say, you have to restart the editor. I say, okay, restart the editor. Save the scene, if you haven't done that before, and let's wait for the editor to restart for the nth time. And now I promise it should be the last configuration that you do for your Unity project. And now, since it's the Unity cube, let's add a cube. So otherwise, what kind of Unity cube is? Let me also add some controllers if you want, just to to see your hands with the Unity cube. There is this in the Oculus VR prefab. You have the VR controller prefab. Put it as child of these anchors here, and here for the left hand, specify left touch, and here right touch. And then I think we are mostly done, and we have to add our cube. So create 3D object, cube, fantastic. And let's move it a bit forward, so like 3, a bit bigger, 1.5 meters in front of you. And now save the scene, and now finally you can build and run. So build settings. Let me just change let's remove the default company. Let's put Scout Ghost, but it's just it's not necessary. Everything works. It's just that I like to put my name everywhere because of my vanity. So add open scenes to the scenes to build, and now you can hit build or build and run. But let's hit build. I will show you why in a moment. So build Unity cube and R. Okay, as you can see, it's working. So now it should build everything. It's pretty long, and since we are using IL2CPP backend, usually it's pretty slow to build everything. Even if you made just a cube, it's slower than if you used mono. But if you want to use Passthrough, I've heard these are the settings to put in your project, and you can experiment to see if you really need all the things: OpenXR, ILCPP, x64 platform, linear, color scale. But actually I tried different configurations that were never working. When I tried this one, also thanks to Dilmer, Valisios, everything worked. So I can guarantee this works. I can't guarantee the other works. But if you want, you can try to experiment. And you notice that the pass-through is not working because you see black. You see a black background, or you see blue, or whatever. You see like or the skybox or the basic color of the background instead of the pass-through. So this is how you notice it doesn't work. You notice it only in build, because in editor there is no way you can see the pass-through. So now let's the build to finish, and then I'll show you another thing. Okay, you see that the build is finished. This should work, our mixed reality cube. But you also see that I have already the Quest on my head, and I'll show you why. So with the Quest connected to your PC via cable, open Side Quest. And if you notice that the Quest is connected here, let's go to the device settings and tool menu here with the branch. And now it's very important, you have to enable experimental mode. Every time you reboot the headset, you have to re-enable it. So this is a nuisance because for Facebook, pass-through is an experimental feature. So every time that you activate your Quest, you have to activate the experimental mode to make the pass-through to work. So let's click on. Okay, if you read something about the ADV server version, click OK. Another time, and click on until you see experimental mode set OK. So now we can run pass-through application on our Quest. And notice that your Quest should be updated to latest firmware. So at least V31. If it is V32, it's better. So now we have enabled it. And now let's use also Side Quest to install the APK. So drop the APK here. All tasks completed. Everything should work now. So let me activate the streaming. This is not necessary for you. It is just for me to show you if it is working. Start stream. So you see my menu, on sources, the CubeMR. So I launch the CubeMR. And you can see that it is working. So I have my controllers, I have a cube in front of me, and I can see my surroundings. And you can see the Azure edges that I specify to the system. So everything works. You have your fancy pass-through application with a cube. So this is the first pass-through MR cube in history. You have a cube in front of you exactly when you want it to be. So let me put it here now. I just recenter the headset, no special trick with the head. I have a big cube in front of me, and this makes my life better. You can see that there are some distortions in the pass-through. This is normal. This is a problem, the Oculus. I don't know if it will be able to fix with this Quest, maybe with the next one, because the reconstruction of the image is a bit wobbling. You can read my review of the pass-through if you want to read about it. But you can see my surroundings and now my computer with inside the pass-through, with inside the pass-through. So everything works, I'm super happy, and now you should have your pass-through app as well. Maybe you are thinking that the tutorial is over, but I actually 2 extra bonus info for you. The first one is that to see the application working, apart from having the experimental mode enabled, every tutorial says that you also have to have your Guardian enabled, so not disabled through the developer features on your device. Actually, thanks to Lance Larsen, I've discovered that at the moment, this is not requested by the Quest. It seems that with the current runtime, you can actually disable your Guardian on your developer settings and the pass-through apps still work. This is amazing because this means I can go all around the city with the Quest on and still have pass-through AR. I don't know if it is a bug, if it is a feature, but currently at the time of making this video, this is how it really is. So this is the first special info for you. The second special info is, what about if you use the XR Interaction Toolkit and Unity XR? So What if you don't want to use the VR camera rig or VR camera controller prefer, blah, blah, blah? What if you want to use the XR rig? I love the Unix framework. So let me show you how it works. You can see my screen. This is another project. And notice how I implemented it. Here I have my XR rig with the main camera that is flagged as main camera. If it is not this way, everything is going to explode. And then I also put an VR camera rig. So it is important that you have the VR camera rig as well. And this VR camera rig should have all the features I told you before: experimental, enable pass-through capability, enable pass-through, and a VR pass-through layer. Also, the OVR camera rig script attached should have the disable AI anchor cameras enabled. If you don't enable these, the OVR camera rig will create other cameras for the headset, and they will conflict with the one that you have on your XR rig. So activate disable AI anchor cameras, and that's it. Everything works after that. So anyway, you have to add the OVR camera rig to the scene, but disable the anchor cameras. Then you add the VR pass-through layer, do everything I showed you before, and everything will work with the XR rig. This is very handy if you want to implement the XR interaction toolkit. I personally love. Our application uses the XR interaction toolkit, hit motion reloaded again, and it works super well with the pass-through now. So this is how I implement it. This is my special info for you developers. I hope you appreciated that. This tutorial is finished. You should have all the tools now to know how to create your first Oculus Passthrough ARMR application. And if you want to dig more into the topic, as I said, look into the documentation and look into the sample scenes that I've made you download with the sample framework of the Oculus integration. And now I'm very curious to discover what you will be able to create with this Passthrough ARMR. So if you, after I follow this tutorial, you create something for the Oculus Quest, please let me know on a social media or email or however you want. Just remember that at the moment that I'm making this video, it's like September 2021, you can't publish on the official store or on App Lab applications implementing the Oculus Passthrough because it is an experimental feature. And as you have seen, people must activate the experimental mode every time it gets executed. But you can publish them on side quests, and already some interesting apps like Crazy Kung Fu in Passthrough AR, like Cactus Cowboy. It was the first app with Passthrough AR. So there are many things you can explore. You can publish on side quests to see if the audience like this kind of technology. So I invite you to play around with Passthrough. I really thank you for watching this tutorial. Hope it has been useful for you. If this is the case, please like it, subscribe, share it with your friend, donate to my Patreon, send me a hug, and then after that, have a great day in VR and Passthrough AR. Bye bye.